love children. We thank you tonight for people who have a vested interest in making sure that every child, regardless of the color of their skin, will have equal access to a safe environment for learning, for education, for matriculation. And we're grateful tonight that, like others who came before us, we know that if we are steadfast, if we are unmovable, always abounding in your word, the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. So we thank you for every individual and give to her own place of service. Thank you for the various roles that people play in order to make our city and our community, especially our schools, better. Thank you for this night. Bless us. Help us to express ourselves even passionately, yet with dignity and with respect, in a way that will bring honor to your name. We recognize that at the end of the day, this is about love. The word says, if we love you, whom we've never seen, we can love each other. So we pray today, God, you bless us tonight. Give you glory, honor, and praise in the name of our Lord, Christ. Amen. Amen. Let me again thank each of us for being here on this evening. I want to thank Joe Deacons, who has graciously opened the doors of this convenient facility for us on tonight. My name is James Dixon. I'm the lead servant at North Houston branch of the NAACP. All that we are about is about service, and humble to be so. We've gathered here at this facility. I want to thank again Mr. Deacon, because we looked for facilities. You know, I'm a church man, and we looked for facilities and there was none available for this night. And at the last moment, they were willing to open their doors to give us a convenient place in close proximity of the parents and students of Bellaire and Bellaire High School. So let's thank them for opening their doors. We do appreciate that and thank them for it. I do want to give this word of disclaimer. Our meeting tonight here is not an endorsement by the Jewish Community Center. They are simply allowing us to have this meeting to discuss our agenda. And I want to make sure that that does not get misconstrued. This is a Houston NAACP meeting hosted for our community, but it's meeting here for the sake of having access to a convenient facility. And so we want to make sure that we don't send the wrong message out by way of the media. I am grateful tonight that after meeting with parents of the Bellaire, the Bellaire High School students at our university office, along with our executive director, Dr. Smith, and our education chair, vice chair, Ms. Maple Caleb, and our vice president, Carol Galloway. I want to give our education committee a hand for their work. We appreciate their work and their service. We knew knew that there would be necessary actions beyond conversation. And we have been working directly with parents, in fact, a member of president of the Booster Club and the PTO of Westbury, to make sure that we understood the issues, and talking to present and former parents and students of Bellaire High School, been a part of their sports programs, baseball programs over the years, and I can tell you that information that has surfaced has been quite disturbing. I've gone on record as saying there is an apparent established pattern of historic discrimination and unfairness and inequities within that system. And tonight, our purpose here is to hear from persons in the community, the parents and students. This is our subject matter tonight. I know most of us, how many of us here are leaders of any organization? Anybody lead any organization? Just lift your hand if you lead. If you lead a family, that's an organization. You know, lift your hand with that as well. If you're a leader of any organization, you know what it's like to have a conversation that can go 50 different directions and end up not accomplishing very, very much. My task here tonight is to try to help us to stay focused on this particular subject tonight, so that we will be able to leave here with a more substantive understanding of this issue and what strategically can be done to solve the present crisis and to prevent future circumstances from happening like this in this particular school that we're addressing on tonight. We are also grateful to have an observation. Other members of the NAACP Identity Committee, if you all would lift your hand, Anthony West is here as well. Dr. Carolyn Edwards Boss, thank you so very much for being here, and other members of the NAACP. And I know there'll be a few elected officials perhaps walking in as well. We're also grateful to have the presence, we have observation of the superintendent of the Houston Independent School District, Mr. He is here to observe and to listen, as well as board member Myrna Gentry. Good to have her here. Any other board members here? All right. And again, all of us are leaders. So I would hope that you would see yourself standing here and know that you can help me, help others to keep the focus on the subject tonight so that we can resolve this issue to the best of our ability. I do want to commend Dr. Candace Matthews for the effort that she is already working on. We are a cohort. She works, of course, with the Rainbow Push Coalition. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who is all about a leader when it comes to social justice. And we thank God. Give Candace a hand, please. Candace, remind me, when you wear your Western hat all the time, I want to make sure you have a horse to ride. I ride horses, so I'm working on it, sir. We got to talk about that. All right. Tonight, I want to say a word as to why this is a personal concern for me. And we're grateful for pastors like Dr. Kenneth Campbell, who's here as well, all the way from the northeast side of town. We're grateful to have him, the northeast side of town, Provo. Yeah, you know I went to Houston God, I was living in Houston God, you know. Yeah, that's where I first got my horse. But this is a personal concern for me. I'm a 1981 graduate, believe it or not, of S.P. Walker High School. And I I was the first black quarterback Walford had, 1980-81. And we had a pretty good team. We were picked to win the city that year. And in our fourth game of the season, our coach went into a tirade at halftime and called Lester Burton a nigger in the locker room. Never forget as long as I live. We were high school seniors. Some of our team, football was their way to go to college. And that night, we met at Jack in the Box on the corner of North Shepherd and West Donovan Street. And the question was asked, what are we going to do about this? And I didn't know what I was saying. I just said, I'm not playing another down of football at Walford until the coach apologizes to Lester. And all 9 of us at that table agreed to that night. We would not play another down of football until Coach Fierce apologized to Lester Burton. We went to his office that Monday morning, thinking he was going to quickly apologize and it'd be over, and he blew us off like it never happened. We went to the principal's office. His name was Paul Oakfield. Asked him to intervene. He gave us a nice, good old boy kind of speech. Y'all go back to class, take care of it, we got it. Nothing happened. We stopped practicing that week. We didn't go. Met at our parents' house, and then at the New Hope Baptist Church on North Main, we had a press conference with our parents. It took all the way from that October to April for anything to happen. We forfeited our athletic career in high school on a principle. And in April, the head coach and 2 other coaches were fired, and the principal's placed on 2 years probation. We learned in that process that prior to that, no black kid had ever gotten a football scholarship out of Walford. We had no idea that the problem had been that systemic. But it cost us, I see it here, and I'm looking in my mind right now at Chris Watts, whose parents were 2 quarters into college. I'm looking right now in my mind at individuals who they were hopeful that football was going to be their way out of poverty. But it cost them their senior year, but they were willing to pay the price. The year after that, new coaches, ever since then, every year, Walford sends athletes to college. They send them to the pros and even to the Super Bowl. And most of those players don't know today. They don't know our names. They don't know the people who came to community meetings like this. They don't know the press conferences. They don't know the meetings. They don't know the advocates and the social justice leaders who showed up to talk about an issue that brought about the change. And so I'm saying that tonight so you will know that your presence here tonight means more to people who will never meet you. Please hear me. Your presence so this is not in vain. I want to tonight begin this conversation with asking any of the parents from Bellaire High School to lift your hand. Or the parents from Bellaire, I see a lady, she's with the PTO organization, and we just learned today that Bellaire actually has a baseball game going on now, so somebody's out here. I want to allow parents to come and speak and give us the context, the things that you understand that has happened in this situation, and then we will move from here. Amelia is the PTO president and the Booster Club president. Now y'all want to give her a hand because hold on, that's volunteer. PTO and Booster Club, that's volunteer work. Give us just a recap of something of that.
Good evening. My name is Amelia Robinson, and I was attending the Westbury and Bellaire hear the commotion that was going on in the dugout, but I could tell that it was a very tense game. I remember coming back from the restroom and hearing the coach for Westbury tell the dugout for Bellaire, "You guys need to be quiet." Then I see the giving Bellaire a warning. After the game, Bellaire won that game. I think it was like 21-3. I mean, they was in the lead, so it was no need of name calling or anything. They had the lead from the jump. After the game, I was speaking with some parents from Madison and Sterling High School. It was brought to my attention that some of the Madison kids that were sitting close to the Bellaire dugout was hearing monkey noises. As my son is walking off, I see that he's very upset, and I asked him, "What's going on?" He stated to me, as he was bagging and working in the outfield, that they was making monkey calls to him and his players, teammates, I'm sorry. Then his Hispanic teammate said that, "Yes, Ms. Robinson, they told us this is not soccer. You know, you need to go play soccer, this is baseball." So they was already upset. As I'm walking down, Bellaire is walking out of the field. You can hear some of the players using the N-word very loudly. I can see my son tense up. I was like, "Son, you know, just leave it alone." Next thing I know, I can hear a parent in the parking lot says, "Make the monkey noise now." I looked over to my right. I see a group of Bellaire kids thinking it was funny and started doing monkey dances and making a monkey noise. Next thing I know, just commotion just broke out in the parking lot. I ran to the parking lot to separate our Westbury kids because I was like, "Look, we don't need no problems." We had people out there recording, you know, I was like, we don't want to have a bad name for our school. It really affected my son. My son is a part of the Youth Police Advisory Council. That next day he had a meeting. He actually discussed the matter with me. He was so disturbed that he reached out to his mentor, Chelsea Glover, other mentors that he just couldn't shake it. It bothered the entire team because then the next week they felt like it was unsafe to go to practice. As they was practicing, they just seeing different vehicles pull up, taking pictures, just unknown cars that not normally at the baseball field. They didn't even feel safe to play the next game, I think against Westside. I really, as a parent, I just want this situation to be dealt with correctly. I feel like the Bellaire kids needs to apologize to our Westbury kids, especially to our baseball pitcher. It was really targeting him a lot during the game. But I just feel like an apology needs to be handed to our players. They need to understand that their actions that they did really affected our kids. I knew going in life that my son would experience racism some way, but not this soon, you know, not like this. So we just want justice. We want the Bellaire coach to, you know, admit that, you know, he was in the wrong for letting his players behave that way. That's all I have. I just really thought that was a really bad situation that our players had to go through. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia, for sharing that concerning your son's experience and the other team members as well. We have Mr. Larry McKenzie, who said he's a parent. His son is a student and player at Westbury. Let's receive him.
Bellaire, and this year, my son decided not to play, but I'm still a member of that community. And Amelia said everything that needed to be said, and it's amazing that it's a cross-section of the people that are present. Amelia didn't tell you how she was on the board of South Central Sports, which operated in Sunnyside. And I was on the board at South Central Sports. And now that we've stopped, now you have Southeast Little League. We represent the whole South Side of Houston, Texas. I have been coaching baseball since '92. I'm a 26-year in HISD, 26-year veteran educator. Teacher of the Year this year at secondary DAP. Now, Amelia is a lot more soft-spoken than I am. But what she said is completely true. Now, what we're asking for is that the coaches be fired, the principal be reprimanded, Bellaire forfeit their games for this school year, and a scholarship be set up for the student, the black student that's on Bellaire's team, and the student that was the victim of the taunts by the Bellaire team. Realized that that was at an HISD-sponsored activity. Racism and bullying is a level 3 and level 4 offense in the student code of conduct. So that's what we're asking. It's not asking too much. Seeing that I've worked with baseball players at South Central Sports since 2005, I brought this picture of my son and the team. The young man that owned Westbury, one of the young men, was his teammate for the last 10 years. That was the father that was in the parking lot. It built up to this. I've had several players to go to Bellaire that are A1 players, but they didn't get a chance to play until their senior year. There was something wrong with that. I had a player who used to go to the Dominican Republic to play baseball in the summer, but when he would come back, he could not play at Bellaire. His dad had to transfer him to Shadow Creek. This is the type of racism that's been going on, and it's bullying. And then when this came out, the case had already been closed over the young man's hair investigation. It had to be reopened. We need to check into those investigators that lipped initially.
Yeah.
We need to say no. Now is the time to say no.
Right.
And people have checked into the background of the coach, and he's gone to several events during the summer where they had a Confederate flag present. To us, that's just like going somewhere where there's a swastika.
Right.
So, my name is Larry McKenzie, and I will continue to seek these remedies. I mean, I've even gone as far as to send emails to the athletic director, and I sent emails. I've sent Mr. House about 5 or 6 emails so far. But I've suggested some coaches that have played for Bellaire, have done well in the pros, that can replace the 2 guys that are there. It's not enough that you can complain, but you have to provide solutions at the same time.
Are there any other parents of students who are here who would like to speak? Any other parents? I'm going to ask that Pastor Kenneth Campbell will come and speak. He represents pastors across the city as well as Houston Metropolitan Baptist Ministers Conference, one of the supporters of this community town hall setting, to come on behalf of Dr. F.D. Wilson Sr., the second Reverend, our President, Dr. Campbell. I know the preacher, but y'all can clap for the pastor.
represent. We stand with our community, and we stand in great pleas for righteousness and truth. And I feel like this is one of those things we ought not sweep under the rug or sugarcoat or handle lightly. We ought to deal with this very aggressively and appropriately. And sure, on one hand, our children have to learn to be strong and take it and live through it, because this is part of the world we live in. But on the other hand, if we can defend them and make things better for them, we ought to go all out and do the best we can. Yeah. So my prayers and my hands and feet, arms, legs, and mouth, and resources are committed to fixing this problem and ensuring our people, our children, have a safe place to enjoy sports and grow in their knowledge and understanding of life.
Thank you, Pastor Tim Campbell. We appreciate your leadership, and of course, what his presence represents the fact that of the 150 plus churches that are part of the Houston Metropolitan Conference, they're in full support of justice being done in this situation. And like Mr. McKenzie, we've got a letter to get to the superintendent and to the administration, the board as well. And this is being talked about across the entire city of Houston and beyond. It's a bad way to make the news. It's a bad way to make the news. It would be better when the outcome of justice is finally completed. At this time, let me ask, we're going to entertain a few questions or comments. As we do that, I'm going to ask each of us that we will hold our question or comment to 1 minute in respect of others who will have a question or comment, and then we will give some specific things. Of course, I want before I do that, Dr. Carolyn Evans Shabazz is not only an executive member of the NAACP, she is an elected official, a city council member. On behalf of the elected officials, because she represents the District D, the district of destination. I will tell you that for sure. Receive Dr. Carolyn Evans Shabazz, freedom fighter.
Certainly, I am Councilmember Carolyn Evans Shabazz, a council member for District D, what I call the District of Destination. Actually, one of my constituents, Erica Rowan, reached out to me because it's her son who had a problem with the coach singling him out for his hair. And I really was concerned, and I'm not here to speak on behalf of the mayor, though I don't think he would disagree, but he has not given me authority to do that. But certainly I am appalled that this is tolerated. I do believe that it's going to come to an appropriate conclusion. I have spoken with the athletic director. It is under investigation. And certainly I'm told that the umpires had to stop the game. That is what they call prima facie evidence that these things occurred. And if they occurred, I'm going to tell you, my father was a long-time basketball coach at the Jack Yates High School. There is no way that his players would have performed in that manner and he would have just acquiesced and said, you guys need to just get quiet. They would have been benched. They would have possibly been moved off the team. And I'm going to agree with Larry. I think at this point, those coaches need to be benched. Yeah. And not be able to take their show on the road to another school and treat anybody's child in the manner that we have reportedly and allegedly have heard that they have done. Yes. And so certainly I stand with the superintendent, with the House, HISD, and all of those in the community. And I'm going to say, children do things, but there has to be consequences. Because if they don't get consequences, they will continue in those actions and believe that their actions were appropriate. So as adults, we have to make sure that there are consequences so that at least that group of young men who are probably leaders in their school will know that is not the way that it's going to be tolerated. And Houston is a diverse city with so much respect for every ethnicity. And so it should not be tolerated. If you're a parent of any student, anywhere, please, your children learn from you. You are their first teacher. And you're the one that is going to be accountable for them when they go out in the world and they carry on in the manner that we have told these young men allegedly did. So I thank you so very much, Bishop, for this opportunity. I am a retired educator, if there's any such thing. And so I am very, very passionate. Although I'm dealing in the city, in policy with the city, I will always have a heart for the children and the communities. And so thank you so very much.
I want to ask a question. If this had been actions taken by African American students, and the targeted students were not African American, we would have rooms filled with people until justice is done. And I'm saying to us that the message we must send is that we will not tolerate this kind of treatment of any kid, black, white, or brown, and when you come for ours, you come for us. That's right. We've got to make sure that that message rings clear. I said in my statement earlier, the head coach and 2 coaches were fired. Yeah. I want to say that again. Yes. The head coach and 2 coaches were fired, and the head coach was not allowed to teach at a school in Texas afterwards. I want to say that because if a teacher or coach tolerates and accommodates racism, they are perpetuating a problem. Yes. And racists don't come naturally. Yes. They got to be raised. Right. And so I am too confident, Dr. Vines, that the investigation is going to yield the best results. But I want us not to be ashamed or shy at saying we don't believe people of that mentality deserve to be handling anybody's children. Yes. And I want to also confirm that the student athletes who participated don't deserve to wear a uniform in the name of a school that black people, white people, and brown people pay taxes to be over. That school, the building, and those uniforms don't belong to them. They are paid for by the taxpayers of our city and of this district, and the taxpayers are not all white. Black people pay taxes, white people pay taxes, brown people pay taxes. We all pay taxes. And so that message needs to be sent very, very, very clearly. And I don't think anybody here should be timid or shy about saying there should be definite repercussions for this kind of unacceptable behavior. We're going to entertain now. I see that Gary Monroe has his hand up. He's going to be first, and then we'll have a comment here. And we're going to keep these again to 1 minute, please, so that we can hear from everyone else. Ms. Monroe, can you just state your, yes, sir.
I can do it for
Yes, sir.
I'm the Central Region Minister of Politics for the New Black Panther Party.
respect the people. I respect what you said, Bishop, but the words don't have to line up on this one. It's got to line up on this one. This didn't happen too many times in 1 year. 1 year is too much. And the thing about it is, whether you like my delivery or not, this is what happened to you in 81. I won't tell you. You wouldn't have made it past X anyway, because that's who you had to play first. The thing that's the scariest, this is not 1981. This is 2022. And those children should not have to go through that. Whether it's about hair, whether it's about calling them monkeys, whatever, it needs to stop. The student code of conduct is violated. Professional standards is violated by the coaches. I played for a Hall of Fame coach. I'm in the HIV Hall of Honor. It is an honor to be a student athlete.
That's right.
It's an honor. And what needs to happen, that team should be shut down right now. They're preparing for the future. If this happened in the NCAA, the coaches would be fired and the team would be removed from their seasonal play. This is not an this is not a
one school.
One school. This is an HISD problem, and we've been covering it up for too long.
All right, I'm Travis from Sunnyside, Southwark area, athletic for 20 years. The investigation needs to stop.
Exactly.
Determination process needs to begin. Old racists teach young racists. Young racists become old racists. This is not a part of the curriculum Houston NAACP school district. This is not what my tax dollars want to pay for. So we need to stop trying to sugarcoat everything and call it what it is. The ball was dropped at the school level. Coaches consider educator too. The principal is considered the head of everybody at that school. And then when they go to the administration building, that's where the buck supposed to stop it. But if we continue to let this go on, we're going to have those burning crosses again. But we're going to be a part of that because we're not doing nothing to prevent it now. Now, we should not come here and keep asking people what happened in the game. We know what happened in the game.
What you supposed to do?
But why are we still paying people? Why are these people still on our payroll? On our payroll, not the HID payroll, but our payroll. That's the question. So now all I need to do, we don't need to keep talking about this. We need the determination process to begin. That's all we need right now tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let me say this too, and I appreciate your passion and poignancy as well. I learned this after our situation, that the investigation that took place longer than we thought, so the school district would have made a decision that fit all the legal criteria. I didn't know nothing about that when I was a kid. I was just looking for the man to be fired. You understand what I'm trying to say? And so I understand your passion, everybody else's. I think if we keep speaking truth to power while this process plays out, that's our job. And then we hold people accountable if the process does not produce the right result. Some things cook fast. Some things cook slow. But some of the best food cooks slower than the fast food. So I want to trust the process. Now, if it becomes too lengthy, I'm with you. And so I got where you are. But let me also say this. What Gary said is important. I think, and what the NAACP is going to be doing is bringing recommendations forward that not only addresses what happened in this particular incident, but how do we develop a policy that deals with what do we do when racism occurs on any school campus by any kid in any program at any time, especially when there are teachers and faculty involved. We have a right to have a say in that, and we're going to be a part of that conversation as well.
They have already signed the code of conduct. That is
Exactly.
a part of it. And they went against it.
I'm with you.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. We're on the same page.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm a teacher at Bellaire,
those schools free to express themselves. And that's why we call it a community time.
If I could catch, and so that's why I just wanted to make sure that perspective is also heard.
Yes, absolutely. The floor is open for that. So the floor is open for that. Yes, I'm going to hear. 1, 2. Yes, sir.
My name is Dr. Harold Scott, I'm the president at Bellaire High School.
Yes.
Young lady spoke about the coach. I coached 28 years football in the Sunnyside sophomore area, and it is usually impossible for the kids to just start doing something and the coach not be aware of. Right. Coach needs to be held accountable for some concern, the whole coaching staff should be fired. Because you have to know that this behavior has been going on all the time. Bishop spoke about truth to power. We've been speaking truth to power since MLK Day, still getting the same results. And so we just had a situation a while back with this teacher at Worthy, a principal, and now he teaches school again for falsified grade. There is no way, every single coach on that team should be gone. 28 years of coaching, I know these kids didn't just spontaneously start acting this way. The coach done heard it before, maybe he just turned a different ear. A personal relationship doesn't have nothing to do with what the coach doing on the field. She have a personal relationship with the coach. That man should be gone. If my son was at Bellaire or my daughter, I would take him out of school today if those coaches stayed there.
Thank you. I've talked to several people who are former students who played in the program, and some left the program, left the school because of expressed historic issues of discrimination, unfairness, and violence. And we were told by a parent last week, before last, that players were saying this was not the first time they've done that with other schools. And that's what I'm saying, the investigation is important, because it also will include evidence beyond that particular incident, beyond that particular game. Yes. Thank you for sharing that perspective. This is a lawyer, attorney, yes, and a parent who has been affected by racism at the school.
Hello, my name is Kevin Murray. I'm a lawyer. I represent students and families from Westbury High School, Bellaire High School, current and former students. This is a very, very passionate subject. So first, I want to thank you all for coming here. Thank you, Bishop Dixon. Give you all yourselves a round of applause for doing this. Please thank you. Now, as a lawyer, I can talk, so I wrote down 3 points, and then I'm going to move on. First, the extreme and outrageous conduct of the Bellaire players and the coaches must be addressed. And there must be proper consequences. I don't care how you come down on either side. We can disagree on some things, but the one thing, the second thing that we cannot disagree on, we have to protect our children. We have to protect them. You send your children to school for mentorship from teachers, coaches. That's what you expect. You send your children to school, play athletics, to deal with things, greater issues they're going to face in life. Unbeknownst to these parents, they were teaching their children how to deal with racist adults. Any way you could. Yes. Finally, as a suggestion, I think HISD needs to set up a commission, a board, something to review the accident at Bellaire High School. I too have been contacted by former Bellaire High School faculty, current Bellaire High School faculty. You know what they're saying? There is a systematic history, current and past, of racism at Bellaire High School. These are not my words. I was not a student at Bellaire. I was not a teacher at Bellaire. But this is what I heard from your colleagues. All right. Now, like I have a passion for this. I understand how important it is getting your kids to the next level. Getting your kids a high school diploma and a college education based on sports. Now, with all that being said, like I said, I keep it short. Now, we do have Miss Erica Rome, Ms. Shabazz constituent, and her son made a complaint. Her and her son made complaints that were disregarded by Houston Independent School District. And I'm going to let her, because everything's under investigation, I'm not going to let her speak too much detail. But when you asked to speak to a Bellaire parent, she jumped out of her seat. And so, no, I'm going to get the whole crap. I appreciate your position, because I understand.
And I truly believe if there are, because to me, to completely understand from a baseball game, if there is racism that is experienced at the school, I think that should be handled separately from, excuse me, there racism that's occurred with my colleagues. I do think we have Mr. House here, we should file a formal complaint about that, but that should also be separate from the actions of the student.
Here is what we're addressing. Racism in a school. And it's not.
That is very they were all racist.
Why we addressing it when they got video?
There's a reason why we teach at Bellaire High School. And on some level, everyone at Bellaire High School is being demonized. I am a parent, I am a teacher. I am alumnus, I am former teacher of the year at Bellaire High School. So you have to stop acting like everything at Bellaire High School is going down the tube.
They been calling them kids niggas over there.
Pardon me?
They been calling them niggas over there.
Okay, and people been calling us
And we ain't putting up with it no more.
everywhere.
We ain't putting up with it no more.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere, so.
That's not
We ain't talking about everywhere. We're talking about Bellaire. You wanted the hood to come up in here? We're talking about Bellaire, partner. It's like, man, ain't nobody, we ain't taking it no more. God don't make niggas. Who made niggas? God ain't make them. Get your mind right, little mama. I don't care where you teach. Yeah, they know what's going on.
Let me say this.
Man, I got bail money. I don't care nothing about that. I leave from here, me. Because I'm the head in charge.
The hell do people think they do?
Let me say this. Mabel. First of all, let me apologize if it comes across that we believe and others believe that everyone at Bellaire is a racist. That is not the message.
Clearly not the message.
That is not, let me say, that is not the message. And that would be an unfair message. Let me also say, you have every right to speak on behalf of what's positive at your school. I understand that. Waltrip was not a school that was completely contaminated with racism. But I can tell you that the way that the principal handled the situation and other situations prior to that created an environment where people were protected who contaminated a good school. Making sense? And I was trying not to date myself, but we had our 40th class reunion this past summer. It was the first time the black students and white students had a reunion together in 40 years. And that was hurtful. It was hurtful because my fellow white students we thought all of them were racist. We didn't think that. Making sense to you? The message got clouded over an incident or two. So I do understand the need to make sure that it's clear. What I do want to say this, Coach Ken Humphreys, who became a new coach at Waltrip that spring, white coach, was the one who helped settle the issue for us. Behind the scenes, he said to Joe Tusa, the AD, I'm not going to stay at Waltrip on this new job until y'all fix the problem for those black kids. A white coach did that. So I want us to understand that if you're for right and justice, it doesn't matter what color you are. So we're not labeling all teachers, all faculty, all people, anything. But we do understand the need for us to deal directly with issues as they are. Because contaminating an environment, pausing it for so many other people who are innocent. And it will take 40 years to have a class reunion where we don't almost recognize each other to say, we're sorry, we misunderstood. So thank you for representing that perspective, all right? Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
Hello. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. My name is Erica Roan, and my son is the child that with the hair incident, where this whole situation stemmed from. And what's your name again? My name is Tanya Andrews. 10 Tanya Andrews. 10 Andrews. So I want to thank the both of you for being able to express how passionate you are about your being an alumni and the school that you work with, your job. I appreciate your passion, but at the same time, and I'm not here to stand on anybody's feelings become angry or upset with anybody for having their position, because I do respect anybody's and everybody's position. It didn't happen to your son. And so you don't feel the hurt, pain, and disappointment that I have gone through since January 2022. Picking up my son from school that day, I will never forget the look on his face. And to give you guys an example of my son and who he is, my son is a 15-year-old black young man who speaks multiple languages. Spanish is his first language, and he speaks 7 languages fluently. He is a gifted and talented child, and he has never been in any problem. When I say gifted and talented child, every 6 weeks since pre-K, my son has made nothing but A's. So my son to come home and tell me when I pick him up from school that his hair was a problem, and he's so afraid and frightened, and it just has this look on his face like he's done something wrong. And when you reach out to administrators, and the principal at your school did nothing. It starts with him. And again, I don't want to, and please let me speak, because I didn't interrupt you. So, and to know those Westbury players, because my son plays select with those players. We know them. I am friends with those people, and I know those kids. On March 14th on spring break, when my son played his old team Bellaire, he's now at Lamar. To hear those people, those kids in the dugout tell my son, fuck you, pussy bitch Euro, if you get up to that. To hear them make the monkey sounds at that game. I went straight to the Houston Police Department after that to file a police report. So I am not here to, what you see in your coworker or in your principal is a totally different side of what I've seen and experienced as a parent whose civil rights was violated. I teach political science and government. And I know what violation of civil liberties and civil rights are. My son's civil rights were violated. And again, I'm not here to get you to side with me or to even like me. But as a parent, and I did hear you say that you were a parent, understand my position as my little black son when no one in HISD listened to me. No one.